and welcome to Shareware episode 48. I'm Josh, and I'm joined by Brett, and Phillip. This is the PokeCast. You might have thought last week was, but nope, this week we're all Pokemon.
You did.
Deal with it.
No, you did say your name. Never mind. Continue. I acknowledge your joke and accept it.
Each host brings their own topic, and every episode ends with a game club, where you all play along with us. This week's game club is NieR, in which we play through retrieving the keys and talking to Popola. Timestamps for each of the segments can be found in the show notes. So, Brett, why don't you tell me what your topic is?
I'm playing a game called Tales of Berseria. That's cool.
Alright.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, we're back. Yeah, we're back to that, by the way, audience. We're back to the old Brett. I can only come up with so many segments.
Okay, I'm going to be talking about killer apps, the games that make you buy the system.
System sellers.
System sellers, yes.
Throwing your fucking shoe everywhere. Fucking kick it away. Kick it away.
My topic is...
I have to kick it with the shoe, though.
Do it.
I'd have to put the shoe on, and then I can't kick the shoe.
My topic is people that can't stop fidgeting with stuff and create lots of background noise during the episode.
It's background music. Sorry you can't appreciate my art.
Very avant-garde.
What was that shitty band that bashed trash can lids together? Stomp or something?
I mean, that wasn't really... That was more like a performance piece than a band, wasn't it? Aren't they like kind of like the Blue Man Group? Like, I don't think they sold albums, but it was like you went and bought a ticket to see their show because it was like they built a bunch of crazy shit and stuff and climbed on it and made noise.
I'm remembering this from when I was like 8, so I probably thought it was real music.
Okay. Well, fucking...
So that's your topic, Josh, is the...
My topic is real music.
The musical success of Stomp.
No, my topic does include real music, though. My topic is a game called GoNNER. Game that, if I had found out about it sooner, would have appeared on my Most Overlooked Games of 2016 topic.
So it was so overlooked.
So overlooked. Even I, the most studious of gamers, overlooked it. I don't know how it happened. I'm just going to pretend like it didn't actually come out until last week, and then they falsified the release date.
It's a remastered edition.
Yeah, I think it actually came out in like October or something. But GoNNER is, some of you have heard this before, a roguelite real-time action game. I guess I would describe it as something in the vein of like a Mega Man, in that it's like a side-scrolling platformer, but you're doing a lot of horizontal shooting. Does that make sense? You see the parallels?
Yeah.
Like, I can't really think of a lot of, like... I can't think of what that game archetype would be other than just to say Mega Man, like...
Megavania.
No. There's no... There's
Mega Man, yeah, I think you nailed it.
Okay. Well, you're all giving me this like, 1,000-yard stare of, like, what's a Mega Man?
I don't know, I just hear roguelite and I immediately just go, I fucking hate these games.
And they fucking hate you right back. So the world goes round. What don't you like about roguelites? You never really fully explained it to me. You like roguelikes, I know.
I like roguelikes to an extent, but most times, like, I'm okay with Binding of Isaac because it's not... When I'm playing, like, an action game that's meant to be, like, you know, it's, like, tight controls, you know, I want the design of the levels to be just as tight.
Fair enough.
Like, I don't... Like, when I'm just going through a randomly generated level, I don't... Like, I prefer to kind of know what the designer wants me to do in any given situation, so that I can either follow along with it or thwart it and be an asshole. Mm-hmm. With roguelikes, or roguelites, it's just, here's a game where you're playing action, but you don't necessarily know if it's even, like, balanced. I don't know. It bothers me.
But you like Downwell a lot.
I played it when I was stoned for, like, a month.
I mean, month's a pretty long time to play a $3 game that you can beat in 30 minutes.
It was like, I played it for like 8 hours or something.
Yeah.
Maybe 10.
It sounds like some part of you likes it.
It was mostly just something to do while I was too high to do anything else.
For that entire month.
All right.
Like, the thing you have to understand is that I will play games that I don't like. Just because. For example, I've been playing RuneScape. I played it for like 10 hours in the last 4 days or so. I just cut trees. And then people come and they watch the stream, and I'm like, why are you here? And 20 people were watching it last night. I don't get it.
All right. Well, for those of you that like games in the vein of Downwell when you're sober and don't just play them because you are empty inside, I would highly recommend GoNNER. Because It's very much in the same vein. In fact, I would say it's, like, structurally speaking, kind of like just a horizontal downwell in a lot of ways because it is so combo-driven. You are this little blob humanoid thing called Ick, who's trying to find something to help out his dying whale friend. She's sick or something. The game's story is not told through text, so you kind of have to infer stuff through the game's abstract art style.
Maybe she's pregnant.
If she's pregnant, then I think she's, like, pouring all of her life force into her child, because as the game progresses, you, like, visit her between worlds.
Well, that's how whales work, though.
I guess, yeah. She becomes more, like, dried out and depressing.
And then you have 2 whales, and the cycle goes on.
Yeah, it's majestic. So you're the midwife for this whale.
Okay.
And you are, like, venturing through these... I think they're, like, rings of hell or something. You're pretty much always, like, underground in some fashion. But, the game has a really striking art style. It kind of looks like what I've described as like a macabre Yoshi's Island. Like everything's kind of like drawn with crayon and that kind of thing, sort of aesthetic. And they do a really interesting way of lighting the world, because you have a light radius, everything's pretty dark. Basically, when you approach a piece of terrain, it just like draws in the terrain that wasn't even there around you. So it has this really fluid, bizarre, like kind of tangible way that the terrain materializes around you, as opposed to just like it always being there and you having this cone that circles around with you. The music has this kind of otherworldly sort of percussive vibe to it. Like I can't even really describe a genre to it. But the cool thing is that as you get your combo meter higher and higher, which at first will take a while because the movement is not particularly fast in this game, but you do like persist your combo meter by hitting things. So you don't necessarily have to be getting kills to not lose your combo meter. You have to just be hitting something at least every couple seconds. Once you kind of get that loop down of like applying damage to something every second or two, the world gets a lot more manic and the music gets more and more intense, more high BPM, more like eccentric and eclectic groupings of instruments and that kind of thing. So if you get through the whole game without ever losing your combo, by the end of it, what once was a game that's like 90% of the screen is black and then a few things that you can see are colored in like a kind of a dark maroon or whatever the enemies of that area happen to look like. By the end of it, it's like strobing and white and there's all these vibrant colors on all the enemies and that kind of thing. And the music gets really intense, which I think is a really cool way of keeping the player engaged in that combo system. Like, I never want to lose it once I get up high enough in the progression of it. And you just, everything feels faster just as a byproduct of the art style and the music changing, despite the fact that you aren't actually moving faster. They do away with a lot of the kind of repetitive randomization elements of a lot of roguelites, where like you find a new weapon or something like that, and it's like, oh, I died shortly after getting to it. I guess I'm never going to see that again for like 4 hours. In this, anytime you've unlocked something, you can start the game with it from then on.
That's nice.
Yeah, so if you find a build you like by stumbling across some of the items of that build, you can just play the rest of the game that way if you want. But certain areas are going to be harder based on the way you build your character. Certain new items you want to find won't even be possible to get because a lot of the items change the way you move so significantly. Basically, the 3 categories of items are, there are heads you pick up because you're just like this little blob guy who at the start you just wear this skull on top of your head. And the head determines like your passive abilities and the amount of health you have. I think the default head is like 4 hearts or something like that. And you lose a heart every time you get hit. Then there's the weapons you pick up as the second category of items, and the third category is an active item slot. You just press the circle button or like V or whatever it is in the keyboard, and they're on a cooldown. Some of them are things like create an explosion in a radius around you to wipe out enemies or yourself if you walk into it accidentally. Some of them are like a jetpack that launches you up into the air and that kind of thing.
So, is there any platforming? You're saying it's Mega Man.
It's definitely it's definitely platforming centric. You can wall jump like straight up a wall, like kind of Meat Boy like, and you can shoot against, like when you press up against a wall, you kind of slowly slide down it, and you can shoot away from the wall, which makes it easier to hit certain enemies in certain situations. And the platforming is also how a lot of the like unlocked stuff ends up working out. Because it's not all just randomly found stuff that is like in the midst of a level based on how far you got. There are certain aspects of certain levels that are like guaranteed to generate in some part of the level. Kind of like Diablo and that kind of thing, where it's like, oh, well, they're always going to spawn this mid-boss at this part of the dungeon, even if the dungeon is a completely different layout every time. And those will be like hidden caves or pathways and that kind of thing that are hard to traverse for some reason or another, and at the end of them will be items that you would completely miss if you weren't like dutifully exploring the edges of the environment, which is tricky because of the way they do the lighting. Like, you just won't notice that there are certain paths unless you're actually like exploring the corners of rooms and that kind of thing. So I think it's kind of a cool way to do it instead of just leaving everything up to chance. There's actually a lot of like very static things that are mixed into the randomization so that you can plan out aspects of the game.
It does sound like, I mean, if you're going to have platforming, it's hard to have it be completely random.
Yeah.
Without it being...
I mean, games have, like, come up with algorithms to where, like, you can always have a platforming section. Like, I'm trying to remember what it was.
Cloudberry Kingdom is
yes,
what I'm thinking of, but...
Completely procedurally generated.
That's gets boring after a while, at least for me. It's not really... There's no idea behind it, it's just jumping.
Yeah, it's just struggle, really. Yeah. Like, it's just made to always be difficult, not necessarily always be interesting in that case. Yep. Which is why I don't think the game would work if it was just a platformer. But the mix of that and the different builds you can come up with that are a lot of fun, and the combat, plus, frankly, the art style and the music are what I consider to be big draws to it. It took me about 8 hours to get to the ending the first time. One run will probably take you like 5 or 10 minutes. But, and there's like, there's a decent amount of like post-game content and that kind of thing. So I got my $10 worth. I don't remember what it's normally. I think it might be $15 and I got it on sale or something. But
it's actually the amount that the Wu-Tang album costs, the one where only one was made.
Oh, okay. So I have the copy of GoNNER.
Yeah. That's why I was kind of wondering why you were doing this topic.
I really like to brag, you know?
Yeah.
It's
I've noticed.
It appeals to my withholding nature.
You know, you're the only one who ever gets to play this, and you just tell us about it.
Yeah, so if anybody is interested in GoNNER, send me a Steam message. I will think about and then neglect to send you a Steam sharing invite.
Ah, good.
Philip.
Okay.
Killer Apps.
Don't fuck up.
Oh, too late. So, we've got a new system coming out in a week here.
Mm-hmm.
So
the PS4 Pro squared.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Double Pro.
So I would like us to go over some of the systems we've had in the past that have a particular game that made us take the plunge.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I can start here. When I finally got my 3DS, it was Animal Crossing that made me need it.
Mm-hmm.
I needed this Animal Crossing.
Coursing through your veins.
I bought Animal Crossing, full price, of course, played it for 30 minutes, decided to get back to it tomorrow, and then I deleted it from my 3DS about 4 months later.
Yeah, it's definitely not a game for everyone.
I fucking hate Animal Crossing. I don't know why I bought it. Hopefully I was drunk, so I have some excuse.
So you did have a 3DS. What finally pushed you to get that 3DS?
An $8,000 inheritance and the ability to do whatever I wanted.
Well, there you go.
That's why I also got the Vita.
Well,
the Vita, I guess, is one for me. Persona 4 Golden.
Mm-hmm.
I'd only beaten the original Persona 4 about 8 times, so I really needed to go back to it. And the idea of even, like, I think it's like 2 new social links, I was like, this changes everything. It is significantly easier, though. Like, the thing I didn't like about Persona 4 Golden is that it makes the fusion a reasonable concept. Like, in the original Persona 4 and in most Shin Megami Tensei games up to Persona 4 Golden, you basically had to, like, press the button to fuse the demon, and then it would show you all the skills they would have. And if it didn't have the skills you want, you would hit circle, and then hit X again. And every time you did this, like, refuse the demon, it would have different skills. So you would build all these demons, and then at the end, you would have a skill pool of, like, 50 to build one of the endgame demons or personas or whatever, and then you would be there for about 2 hours.
Just doing that over and over again.
Yeah, and I loved it. The thing I loved the most is when I finally got exactly what I wanted, but my muscle memory got the better of me, and I just backed right out of it. And I was like, well, back to it. And then in Persona 4 Golden, you can just be like, yeah, here's all the skills I want, we're done.
Sounds like
so that's
good.
Yeah.
No, it's genuinely not, because when you can do that,
okay,
the game gets piss easy. Like, the whole point of that being difficult was to encourage you to just be like, maybe we don't go for the perfect thing. You know, like, maybe we just fucking deal with what we have because this is a pain in the ass. And then this one is just like, I can have the best thing all the time forever.
And there's no cost to keep rolling?
No.
Like, wouldn't you think the better way to handle that
time is a cost.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Like, that's basically it.
Time is
your patience is the limiter. Like, if you really want it...
Definitely reminded of breeding in Pokemon. It's time is what you're paying with.
Yeah. Like, I like the idea of just your patience being the one limiter between a decent Persona and one that's going to take you through to the end of the game.
I'm pretty fine with never having played Persona 4.
Even Golden?
Yeah.
Wow.
I own it, but I've never played it.
Wow.
It's too hard with the GA voice change. And hearing that cements the fact that I will never go back to it.
What, hearing that Persona 4 Golden has a version you would prefer?
Oh, yeah, that's right. They fixed that. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Fixed it? How dare you?
Well, I mean, but you said yourself, like, they fixed it in a shitty way. Like, if
you would like it, though.
I mean, yeah, but...
Okay,
I'm not going to play it.
So you're not going to play the game. What is an example of a game that pushed you to buy a system?
I mean, we were talking about 3DS. Just last summer, 2 things came out for the 3DS that ended up pushing me towards finally getting one, which were Rhythm Heaven Mega Mix and the Dragon Quest VII remake.
Yeah.
Those were big ones for me. I love the Rhythm Heaven series. I even got a Wii again, so I could, after having sold mine like 2 years into the game, or the system's lifespan.
For like $10, what would you? All right,
I mean,
so
I was a poor kid. I was like, what,
right,
14 at the time or something like that. So yeah, it was. I think I got like $100 for it in a game or something when I sold it. But yeah, I rebought it so that I could play Rhythm Heaven Fever because there was no reasonable expectation that they were going to bring the next Rhythm Heaven game to the Wii. So that's why I didn't keep it. But they ended up doing that. So yeah, wherever Rhythm Heaven goes, I will go.
Okay. I gave my Wii away to some kid at school because he said he wanted something to play with his grandparents. And then he was like, he sent me a Facebook message like 2 days later. He's like, can I sell the Wii? And I'm like, well, you fucking shouldn't. I gave it to you because I was a nice guy. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to sell it.
Here you go.
And then he got a 360. That pissed me off real bad. Yeah. And then he tried talking to me again. I'm just like, fuck off. Are you fucking kidding me?
You have a weird history of giving systems to people.
Yeah. Eventually I just lose interest and I'd rather give it to someone who might like it rather than sell it to GameStop, the fucking demon.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I prefer to spread the love when I can.
That's why I went with Craigslist. Because then I'm at least giving it to a person and not some middleman.
Yeah. If we're going to talk about killer apps that I'm going to very, very soon be getting, I'm definitely going to be buying a PS4 for NieR Automata with my next paycheck.
I'm surprised to hear you're not just going to invest in a PC for it.
No, I can already, the PC version still doesn't have an actual release date. There was a flash of something that said March 10th, and then Square Enix took that down and replaced it with ones that doesn't say March 10th at all for PC. So, and besides, I could probably run it anyway, because Platinum has a really good history with PC ports.
Okay.
So you gotta get it right away. So you're gonna buy a system for it.
Honestly, if I could now, I would literally buy a PS4 and then I would buy Hong Kong currency cards for PSN, and then I would buy NieR and download it now because apparently the default version is English anyway.
Okay.
So there's an English dub and sub version out there right now, so I can no longer look up anything related to NieR at all. So that's fun. If anyone sends an email saying, hey, check out NieR Automata 2B is actually God, or whatever, fuck off. I'll kill you. I will actually fucking kill you.
Mr. Crunch makes his triumphant return.
Fuck off.
So, trying to think of more, because honestly, I have a bad habit of just, ever since I've had a job, just buying systems as they come out. Like, I bought PS4 at launch, even though there wasn't a whole lot.
There was like Resogun.
Resogun was fantastic, but like it was already confirmed to be coming to the PS3 and the Vita later, so like I didn't have to buy it for that. But boy, am I glad I did, because fucking Resogun is glorious looking on a PS4. So I'm glad my first impression of it was in its fully fledged state, which they just added pro support to it, so you can play it at 4K at 60 FPS with higher like particle density and shit like that. So that's pretty slick that they're continuing the Housemarque tradition of making side-scrolling shmups into the Power Show House.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's not really been a ton of time. Like either I was too young to buy my own system, so I wasn't getting them for a specific game anyway. It was like something from my parents 4 or 5 years into the system's life cycle. Or I had money to buy a system and I just did it because I wanted it.
Yeah.
Like, the first time that happened was with the first DS, which I got at the time where the only thing I had to play was the Metroid Prime Hunters demo.
Oh god, yeah. I think we've all been there.
Demo.
Yeah, and just like pinging PictoChat endlessly, hoping somebody would bump into me with DS. For some fucking reason, in the middle of like the Minneapolis residential area, like just fucking hitting the refresh button. Like, who's gonna fucking walk around in 2004 in Minneapolis with a fucking DS? Like,
so you never found anyone?
No, I did not.
Aww.
I think the first time I PictoChatted with somebody was like 2 years after I got it at school or something, because somebody else finally got one. Because at the time, there was fuck all reason to get one. Like, Canvas Curse came out a little ways in the system, but I didn't like Kirby at the time. I probably just didn't want him because he was pink and I was edgy.
I loved Canvas
Pink
Curse.
is edgy, though.
Yeah, but pink wasn't edgy back then.
Yeah. Oh, that's a new thing.
Yeah, pink came back around, I would say. I think pink comes in waves.
I don't think Kirby Pink was edgy back then, but I do remember my teenage cousin getting a lot of like black and pink stuff, and kind of edgy.
Yeah. As much as the American cover art director for the Kirby series wants to think Kirby's edgy.
Oh my god, I fucking loved all those ads where it's like, Kirby's a twisted fucking psychopath. Yeah. He's gonna fuck your mother and rape you to death. Like, it was always just like, Jesus, dude. Like, he'd always be in prison.
Yeah.
Like, grizzle on his fucking face.
Yeah, I never really understood the temptation to turn Kirby into something with machismo. Like, the game is the most lighthearted, cutesy thing, like, probably ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every single theme in the game just, like, makes you want to skip to it. And it's all just fucking rainbows and stars.
And it's all about, like, making friends.
And all the cover art. I think that the last two games have had universal the same cover art, but you see examples of how the American release just has eyebrows on Kirby.
Yeah,
you gotta give him the angry eyebrows, and that's the change.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, they always have to like give him a little more angst than the Japanese version, because otherwise kids won't want to buy him.
God.
There was Mario 64 DS at the time, which was fantastic, but I already played it. So, like, at the time, I was still playing through content I already seen. Like, you get that, like, 45 minutes at the beginning where you're Yoshi and trying to save Mario, and then you play through the rest of Mario 64, and then there's more content at the end. So, it's like an old content sandwich.
And then you're dealing with a D-pad, playing Mario 64 with a D-pad.
I was that guy trying to make... Remember how it came with the thumb strap?
Yeah.
I was the guy trying to use the thumb strap, the quote-unquote digital or virtual analog pad.
Yeah.
I gave up on that pretty quickly. Like, it was nice because you got to control the speed of your movement.
Yeah.
But, God, that was not the way to play that. None of the control methods on the DS were the way to play that game, despite the fact that it's the best version of the game. Like
playing, they released it on Wii U Virtual Console. It's okay.
Okay. Did they actually add analog sticks?
It's not. But it feels better.
I thought it was just the original 64.
They've done both.
Oh.
They probably let you buy both, because fuck you.
Yeah.
$60, thank you.
You can buy the bundle.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I think when most of us were kids is kind of when we got the system and then decided, like, what was important to have on it.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of about making the best of a mediocre situation.
Yeah, like, when I got the N64, man, looking back on it, I must have subconsciously had good taste in games. Like, I hardly ever got a bad N64 game.
That's because they didn't make very many N64
But then I got
games.
Superman 64.
Oh, okay.
Superman 64 was the nadir of my game choosing.
I don't know what nadir is.
The worst, lowest point.
Sounds a lot like NieR. NieR.
It's a bit of a stretch, Phil. Bit of a stretch.
Man, you're about to get pile drive through a fucking door. Like, those doors are not
Through the
very
door.
thin. I could do it, Philip.
He's in his pre-workout.
But, yeah, I got, like, F-Zero. I got fucking Legend of Zelda. I got Majora's Mask. I got fucking everything. It was awesome.
Fucking everything.
I actually have
Sounds
Mischief Makers.
I don't know what that is.
That exactly. It's a very, very rare N64 game, and
It's
I sold it to GameStop for
that
about
rare
50
nowadays.
cents.
I actually just bought it this year. I haven't gotten around to playing it.
How much
but
did it cost?
Like $20.
Exactly. $20 for an
Okay, so that's
N64 game. I sold it for 50 cents.
Okay.
Jesus.
So, yeah, one time, like, I wanted to get a 360 really bad, like, more than anything. So I got, like, 60 or 70 of my N64 games. And I brought them to GameStop, and I'm like, can I get 360 with this? And he's like, you get $15. It was like $15, $20. And, like, unfortunately, my grandpa didn't... Oh, I think he tried to stop me. But I was just like, well, $20 is okay.
$20.
And you didn't want you to get abducted by a Craigslist person.
Yeah. God, that was... Like, that was quite the collection that I sold for $20. I really regret it.
Yeah. Yeah, I still regret every single game I've sold back over the years.
I have never sold a game, so I'm happy.
That's smart.
Wise.
I have a very nice shelf. That's what I'm into now is collecting games. That's why I bought Mischief Maker. I'm looking into the older games that I've missed to actually buy a physical copy of so that I can have that on my
You
shelf.
should play it, because it's good.
I have to hook up that TV again, my Tube TV. But yes, I plan to.
Good.
I've never been one for collecting, but my gut says that I've probably spent more money rebuying games I used to own than I've made on selling my games back over the years. So even just mathematically, it would have made sense to keep everything, including, frankly, a bunch of crap from my childhood that I tolerated.
I got pretty lucky with the later PS3 era, because all of the games that I really liked ended up getting ported to PC.
Mm-hmm.
So that was basically free money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because I would just get the PC version. And it'd always be better. Like Metal Gear Rising, I had absolutely no qualms about selling that, because the PC version ran at 60 FPS all the time. It looked better, and you could have more shit getting cut on screen.
Yeah, most of my PS3 collection is all exclusives, so never panned out for me the same way.
So those are the games.
I got a PC for Metal Gear Rising.
I mean, that's a good reason to get it, I would say. Like, I didn't run
Nah,
at 60.
that was just me joking. I got a PC just because I really wanted a good one, so I wouldn't have to worry about requirements.
Yeah.
It was great for about 4 years, and now I have the bottom of the barrel compared to everyone else.
Yeah, that is exactly why I did it, because I just don't want to ever have to think about specs. It's not fun for me. I'm not that kind of guy.
I'll give it another 3 years.
Yeah.
Then it'll be time to reinvest, but you won't want to. That's the thing. It won't ever be... I'm probably going to end up sticking with this computer another 2 years, just because it's not bad enough yet. It's awful, but not bad enough.
Yeah, but you also are... I think we have very different tolerances for PC fuckery, as evident by your janky Windows installation and like your USB drives all fucking up all the time and stuff.
Yeah.
And you've not pursued any kind of solutions.
No, there is a solution. Remember, we plugged in your USB drive and it fixed it magically, so I just did that.
That fixed all of them?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Don't buy killer apps, buy flash drives. It's a threat.
Yeah? What you want? What do you want me to talk about?
What do you want to talk about?
I don't want to talk about nothing. I quit the podcast.
Alright, I'm going to talk about Tales of Berseria.
Okay. Yeah, I've been playing the latest Tales game to come out after the abortion, I think is probably the correct term. That was Zestiria. They have.
Is that like the one that takes place in Mexico or something?
No, it's the one. I think it actually takes place in the same world as Berseria, but I played it for like an hour and a half and just dropped it. It was such a bad fucking game. The thing with Tales is that it will decide to just adopt a new combat system. Like, hey, this game introduces the 4X cross art introductory step system or whatever the fuck. They always have these insane names for it. And then the first game of any new combat mode is going to be shit. Except, I think, for Tales of Symphonia. Like, I've always liked all of the Tales games, except for Tales of the Abyss and Tales of Zestiria, out of all the ones I've played.
How many are there?
A lot.
Two? Okay.
There's a fucking shitload of Tales games. It is one of the biggest JRPG franchises.
Almost as many as the Sonic games. You got
more,
Sonic,
arguably.
and you got Tales.
Like,
okay.
Oh, wow, that was really funny. Can I have you go practice your stand-up in the other room? Quietly and alone?
But I perfected it. The jokes
no, that's
joke?
absolutely not true.
The joke about the jokes?
You gotta be kidding me.
And then to drink the water.
I mean, I don't see how you can get more joke than joke. Like, that's... You kind of just put it to bed right there.
That's your stand-up name, Joke. That was not funny enough to spit out water. Are you fucking kidding me? Is that your standard? Is that why you tell the jokes you tell? Because the idea of being called
jokes. Jokes are the best jokes.
What the fuck? Like, I'm saying, that's the first time I've ever seen somebody spit water out. As a result of one of my jokes. As a result of one of my jokes, and it was the worst joke I've ever told.
I don't think it was the joke. I think it was the weird stare that you followed it up with. Like, he seemed to take the joke well enough, and then you just kind of, like, upended his guard.
Okay.
It was a feint.
back on guard. I've always really, really enjoyed the Tales games. They have ended up getting a little bit stupid with the names. They're not even real words anymore. It was like Tales of Symphonia, Tales of the Abyss, and then it went like Tales of Xillia, and you're like, okay, Tales of Zestiria. What? Tales of Berseria. Kind of like Berserk?
Yeah, I actually thought this was a typo when I first looked at it, because I know there's a new Berserk game out.
Yeah, that's Band of the Hawk.
Okay. So, they always kind of like skirt around a real word with like maybe a couple extra vowels thrown in.
Like, Symphonia, like, it would make more sense if it was Symphonium, but it actually, like, that title had a lot to do with the game.
Okay.
Like, it made
like a
sense.
Musical component to the game?
Not musical, but it was like two worlds kind of coming together, and like the problems that come thereof. So it's like, oh, they gotta work together in symphony.
That works in like a JRPG kind of way.
Exactly. Pretty much everyone in the games journalism sphere would look at you right now and go, this is a JRPG-ass JRPG. And I would be like, uh-huh. You're not wrong, but okay. But yeah, like, these JRPGs, like, they kind of codify the genre in a way. And this latest one is the second version of Zestiria's combat system, which therefore makes it actually rather good. I don't really have fun playing Tales games. I just like the plot and I love the characters. Like, it's a formula, but the formula fucking works really well. And this one, the combat system is something I'm not used to, and the plot is actually very different as well. This is a game that I'm kind of disappointed that I'm out of the age range of. Because, like, you know, I'm 23 now. I've gone through my edgy phase. This game is one of the edgiest, funniest fucking things I've ever seen. But it's edgy in, like, that teenager way. Where you're just like, that's fucking cute. Like, there's this dude. He's like, you want to dance with the Reaper? And, like, he calls himself the Reaper all the time, and he has this coin, And on one side, it's like a skull and crossbones, and the other side, it's heads. And he's like, every time I flip this coin, it lands on the skull.
He's got like 3 shitty motifs all clashing up against each other.
He's also a pirate.
What?
And that's one of these fucking characters. Like, the game is fucking hilarious. Like, it's so adorable. Like, basically, the conceit of the game is, you start out and you're playing as Velvet, and you're just this nice little village girl, whatever. You're like 16. You go fight pickle boars, or whatever they're called.
What is a pickle boar?
They're just boars.
They're not made of pickles or
anything.
Soaked in vinegar before they come to battle you in the fields.
No, they're just boars. And you go out and you hunt them, and it's like 2 hours where you're just kind of living a nice life. And then shit goes real fucking bad, and you end up with this huge demon arm, and you get locked in the bottom of the well for like 3 years, which sucks. And then by the end of it, you're like you're able to devour demons with your left arm, and they keep throwing in demons to try and kill you, and you just eat them.
Is there like something over the top of the well? Like, why can't you pull yourself out?
It's a great, and there's like a magical seal that he puts down. And, like, only exorcists can fight demons, but you're, like, a half demon, so you can eat demons, so you're, like, you're able to fight demons. And, like, the chick basically goes through, like, okay, like, she starts out really nice, and then by the time she comes out of that well, she's just fucking furious all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
I'll do it.
And then she puts on this outfit, and this outfit is, my god, I have to show you guys after this, because this outfit is fucking hilarious.
What's this character's name?
Velvet.
Okay. Velvet from Tales of Berseria, if you want to look up this ridiculous outfit.
Yes, oh my fucking god. I think the surface area of, like, her body is covered about 40%.
Okay.
Like, it's like if you put a regular suit of, like, kind of cool-looking clothes through a shredder, and then put on what was left.
Okay.
That's what I do every morning, though. So it works.
Yeah.
And he spits on the rest.
And it is just fucking hilarious. And then, like, the thing is, Tales games are always very upbeat. And they're always just like, you know, like, sometimes people die, but whenever people die, it's, like, important, or it's just not mentioned, and you're just kind of like, maybe we just knocked them out. Because nobody mentions killing people. You know, it's one of those things they just kind of sweep under the rug in every game.
I ate the demon, but he might be okay.
No, not in this one. Not in this one. That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
Don't try to predict my moves. I am a god. You cannot see where I'm going.
Philip, do you have more water?
Yeah.
Alright.
Are you just going to spit out regular spit? I'm just waiting for it.
Gotta cool you off somehow.
But, yeah, like, this game does not really fuck around with that. Like, you are straight up killing people. Mm-hmm. And, like, you are devouring demons, and then, like, apparently becoming a demon means that you don't, like, feel cold anymore, and you can't taste food, and she's like, I can't even taste food anymore. And, like, I don't know. It's fucking funny. It is just fucking great. And, like, the first thing they do is they, like, burn down a town and steal a ship so that they can go to the fucking... Basically, all the demons are on the verge of conquering the world before the time skip. Mm-hmm. And then after the time skip, a guy has risen up to kind of take control of all the demons and shit. And then, for reasons that I'm not going to explain, Velvet wants to kill that guy, the head of the Abbey, it's called, really fucking bad. So she was willing to just fucking burn down towns, you know, just fucking be a complete fucking scumbag, basically. Like, in the other Tales games, at least the recent ones, you often go out in the overworld and you find, like, oh, this is a treasure I can sell at the shop. And in here, those were never really in towns before, and now they're all over towns, and you're basically just, like, walking into bars and stealing their alcohol. And then
a little Skyrim for you.
Yeah, like, a little bit. Like, it's really fucking...
Putting baskets in everyone's head and robbing them blind.
Like, and the major thing I like about this game so far, and the thing that I find different, that I would have really, really empathized with as a kid, is the idea of, like, hey, maybe mourning by cutting yourself off from your emotions and performing, like, just doing rational shit to get over it, maybe that can also be really fucked up for you. Like, you know, maybe it's better to just, once in a while at least, fucking cut loose and actually look at the situation and go, this is fucked. What the fuck? Jesus fucking Christ. And then, like, let loose a little bit. Get fucking pissed off. I can understand that. Because I was the one who definitely took the rational route of grief. Like, I just kind of shut down completely and defaulted to the great stores of logic and reason buried deep within my soul. And that was gay. So, there you go.
You talked a bit about how the combat in this series changes drastically every couple entries. What is the combat like in this game? Like, is this kind of an active time battle thing or kind of an action RPG?
It's an action RPG.
Okay.
The Tales series has never been active time battle.
Okay.
Like it's always been kind of like a weird fighting game.
Okay. When I hear JRPG as JRPG, that's what first comes to mind for me. So.
Yeah. It's more JRPG in the
presentation
plot and the presentation, yeah. And, yeah, I don't know. Like, I've been having a very good time with this game. I always have a good time with Tales games. In fact, in our first attempt to do this podcast back in, like, 2014, when we were doing it over, like, Skype or whatever.
I think it was Steam voice chat.
Oh, yeah, Steam voice chat.
Because that makes fucking sense.
And we were just talking over each other because we weren't in the same room. Mm-hmm. Now we talk over each other because we are in the same room. But, like, back then I was actually talking about Tales of Berseria 2 for our inaugural episode. Mm-hmm. That was cool. I really like this series. So go out, buy Tales of Berseria. It's been out for, like, 3 months.
What is it on?
PC, PS4, Xbox One, I think. Okay. Maybe not Xbox One. Don't quote me.
I won't.
Don't.
I won't gonna.
Good.
The only thing I'm going to quote is myself.
Okay.
We have like a very minor housekeeping announcement, which is that starting after this episode you're listening to now, for those of you that listen the day of launch, we're now releasing episodes on Sundays. Brett got a job, so some little schedule readjustments. So.
It's a pain in the ass to record on Fridays and then edit on Saturdays. Like, you end up having to listen to the 3-hour podcast twice. Once as part of it, and then once as editing it.
Yeah, so episodes going up on Sundays now. Other than that, I think we're ready to move on to the game club. Am I right, gentlemen?
Hell yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, we're going to be back in a couple minutes with part 3 of our NieR Game Club.
Welcome back to the Game Club. The track you just heard was it was called Kaine's Theme Escape. It's a variation on Kaine's theme. So if you want to listen to that again, you can look it up there.
I like how they kind of elaborate on the character themes over the course of the game.
Yeah, like there's a lot of them that aren't even that blatant.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are some pretty subtle ones. The only reason I even know that they're all part of like a character's theme is because I'm reading a screenshot Let's Play to go along with this because I've given my PS3 to Phillip, and it has a lot of that on there.
It's got leitmotifs.
It does, yes. So I guess we can just kind of jump into it. And this time we gathered all of the keys. We saw a whole bunch of shit. Like this is easily the longest segment of the game for that we're going to be playing through. We went to the desert. We went to the Forest of Myth again.
We did the first half of the game again.
Basically, yeah. Like this time.
Except for the fishing village. That's the only thing we didn't redo, right?
Yes.
Alright.
Well, unless you wanted to do the fishing side quest, which has 9 parts.
So that's the only thing we didn't redo.
So, yeah, we can just jump right into the questions here. I have prepared only 3 this time, but they are all very, very wide-reaching.
Okay.
So, here's question number 1. In the first half of NieR, we are treated to a monologue that the world is dying. Despite this, the tone isn't that dreary. It focuses a lot on preserving the goodness of the world despite the darkness yet to come. How do you feel about the game's transition into a slightly less hopeful territory?
I didn't notice a whole lot of changes. I noticed some changes that were definitely did a good job of displaying that feeling like the sheep are gone.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like 10 times as many shades everywhere.
Yeah.
Easily. I mean, I felt like the most distinctive transition was just in the way NieR interacts with other people. Like, he basically doesn't have any response to anything other than killing shades and finding Yona. Whereas in the first half of the game, like, he actually, like, banters with people and, like, has a life kind of outside of, like, the errands he does to make money to help Yona. Now he's basically just, like, a shade slaying machine.
And he's fucking good at it, too.
It's true.
Like, and they've also made the shades a lot more dangerous in the form of the armor.
Mm-hmm.
The armor, of course, doesn't just protect them from, like, sword strikes and the like. It also protects them from the sun. So even on sunny days, there's still... And those are really fucking rare at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Even on sunny days, there's still a fair amount of danger to be had wandering the plains.
Does the sun level change over the course of the, like, just randomly, or?
I think in the first half of the game, it is a lot more common to have sunny days than in the second.
Okay.
I think the algorithm changes a lot there.
I definitely notice a lot more overcast at this point. So.
Mm-hmm. And, like, have you guys been talking to people in the village again, now that things have gone kind of fucked up?
I did a whole bunch of quests for talking to Pop Leo.
Popola.
Yes, just because...
The Los Angeles Police Force.
I wanted to keep playing, because I did this right away, like, right after our last session, so...
Nice.
So I still had time, so I was just doing as many side quests as I could. And then there was a side quest that had me talk to her, so that was sort of the end of it, but... Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I was doing a lot of talking to people. I noticed, there was a different tone to how Mr. Crunch was talking to people.
Yeah. Poor Mr. fucking Crunch.
I did not hop back into things nearly as quickly as you did. I picked NieR back up a couple days ago, which left me with less time to do side quests, but I think it actually kind of, like, better solidified the transition of the 5-year time gap, because it had been like 5 days since I last played NieR, and 5 years later in the timeline, it's like shit's pretty tangibly different in the tone of the party at this point. And just in how, like, the townspeople basically have nothing to say beyond, like, we don't have food and we're unhappy.
Yep. Yeah. I like the old lady that you always saw playing with kids. Mm-hmm. And she's still playing with the kids, even though the kids died, like, 3 years ago.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I didn't know that they died, but I noticed they were gone.
Yeah, they're totally dead.
Okay.
Like, there's... Like, the first half of the game is, like, everything's dying, but I still believe that I can find Yona and we can be happy. And then this part, it's just like, I have to find Yona. Happy? Who gives a fuck about Happy? I have to find Yona.
Meanwhile, at any opportunity, people are tapping on his shoulder and being like, Yona might be dead. He's like, what are you talking about?
He's like, that doesn't make any sense. Fuck off.
If Yona's dead, then everybody's dead.
I'll fucking kill you all. I don't even give a fuck. I do think that at this point in the game, probably by design, like in the first half of the game, like, and you can do side quests as NieR, but it's just kind of like, yeah, I guess when I'm on the way. In the second half of the game, the side quests start to have a lot more meaning. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why, like, the next segment we play will be 90 minutes long if you mainline it. Okay. It's extremely short. So I wanted to give you guys, in case you didn't have time before, I wanted to give you guys some time to do the side quests, because a lot of them actually have a lot of, like, interesting character stuff this time. So...
Interesting, because I only have stumbled across, like, I think I have, like, 4 open side quests right now, and a lot of them, by my measure, fall under the, like, avoidable category by the system you gave me, because it's a lot of, like, find a bunch of logs. I don't really know where logs are.
You can just buy them.
Where?
One of the shops. I think it might be in the village or in Facade. I
looked at all the Facade ones and they didn't have them, because they start you in the first village, the home village, and it's like the water wheel's busted. The dude in Facade knows how to fix it. Okay, so I go to Facade, and he's like, I don't have the parts to fix it. I'm like, okay, where do I get those parts? Figure it out. So apparently now I gotta go back to the first town again and get those parts, and then go back and talk to him, and he makes the things, and then I go back to the first town again, so... Yeah,
he sends them. He sends the results immediately to the village, so you don't have to go back in.
Okay, but yeah, it felt like there were a lot more like accessible quests in the first half, and like a big part.
I made a big deal of saying like you don't know what bad is at that point, and I still stand by that. Like there are a lot of quests that are like they take time, but they're not a pain in the ass.
Okay.
Now, if you stumbled across one called Life in the Sands, skip that one.
Okay.
Is that the one where you go back to the temple?
No, that's the one where you plant flowers.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, is it where that woman in Facade wants 10 flowers?
Yes.
I thought she just wants seeds.
That is so much more of a pain in the ass than you expect it to be.
Yeah.
On an order of magnitude.
That was one of the ones that I thought I was going to do because it was just one stop as far as I could tell. Yeah, that's one thing that's a little annoying about the side quest design of this game is they never, ever... There's no real consistent structure to what you need to do and how long any individual quest is going to be, which normally would be a good thing because, like, quest repetition ends up making the game boring in the long run. But
there's no, like, difficulty thing that tells you straight up how much of a pain in the ass it's going to be.
Yeah, and, like, when you accept a quest, you only ever know... Like, you only ever see the tip of the iceberg in it. Like, in most... Like, I feel like in a lot of Western open-world RPGs, you can kind of gauge based on the severity of, the tone of the quest giver. Like, okay, this is going to be, like, a quest line or something like that. Whereas here, it always starts as, like... Hey man, can you help me out for a minute?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What?
There's a lady. Hey, can you find my boyfriend? And then you have to go to like every single town.
Yep.
Every single town.
Yeah, it's always just like, hey, can you run down to the corner store and pick something up for me? Really appreciate that. If there's 10,000 gold in it for you. Well, yeah, sure, no problem. 5 hours later, and fucking the entire map is covered.
I kind of like that though because I've found that that's pretty accurate to real life. Is like, you'd be like, hey man, can I ask you a quick question? Like if you're at work or something, and then like they have no idea how in-depth the answer to their question has to be. Like
you and I have very different lives, friend.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I didn't anticipate putting much time into side quests at all during the second half of this game, but I'll take your word for it and try to even find more. Like, I feel like I even just am finding way fewer in, like, where I'm led by the main quest.
I mean, sometimes you have to do, like, one quest in order to unlock another quest.
Yeah, it just, like, in the first game, or the first half of the game, I wasn't even really trying to pursue the side quests because you kind of portrayed them as this sort of thing that you kind of, like, take at the amount of engagement you want out of it. And still, I did, like, 3 times as many as I even can see right now.
Yeah.
So,
there's a lot of them that are in Seafront.
Yeah. I figured. That's probably going to be the first thing I do when we start next week's session is swinging by Seafront to pick up a couple that seem interesting.
I did make the next one pretty short to accommodate side questing. If you would rather just do it, New Game Plus still has all the side quests.
Okay.
Like I'm pretty sure you might even retain like progress through them.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not entirely sure, but that seems a little bit too nice for Cavia, but maybe.
There was the facade quest of going back to the Temple of Rules or whatever that temple is called. Mm-hmm. It was super annoying, but it was nice to actually. In the quest, you're going into the temple and basically you're fighting a bunch of boss shades with the rules now, though, and. It wasn't really like the puzzle now at this point. It was, here's the combat. Now you have to
work with it
with things removed, and it was actually super difficult. I don't know if I was just super under-leveled because anytime the boss hit me, I would die immediately.
Yeah,
wow.
Hold on. Is this the one where you get the fluoride?
I don't know. I don't think so.
It's where you're getting it for that one guy or something for his wife.
No, it was the one with the thieves. There's bandits.
Oh, shit.
There's bandits.
It starts in Facade?
Yes. Okay. There's one of the guards outside the king's mansion. And he says, hey, there's bandits, but I can't go into the temple again, blah, blah.
I don't actually remember that one. The only one I remember is when you go in and get fluoride.
I don't even know.
But having to beat these creatures without magic or without... particularly the difficult ones were without magic and without... rolling without dodging.
Oh yeah.
So I just used my best potions and then just went at it that way. But I died a lot. But that was nice for me to actually have a challenge in this game because so far it's been not actually ever challenging.
It's pretty simple.
Did you ever figure out what level you're at?
I never checked.
Okay. I didn't know I asked you last week.
Oh, did you ask me?
Yeah.
And you just completely neglected to even entertain the notion of answering my question.
That's really nice, Philip.
Cool.
Really, really kind of
I know how, if that makes you feel better.
I bet you know how. I should hope so. I don't know how you would have gotten this far through the game without knowing to fucking press start, but
it's more than start. It's start and then down.
Well,
no, you go to the memo.
I take it all back.
You go to the memo and then status. You don't actually have to hit down at all because it's the first option. So
okay, I guess I've been playing all wrong.
Yeah, maybe you should.
He's been playing Wind Waker this whole time.
I really don't like the part in NieR where you have to get all the 13 pieces of the Triforce and they're just around the lake. It's fucking 13? Annoying. I'm pretty sure it was something like that. Did you ever beat
There were a lot
Wind
of
Waker?
pieces.
I never played Wind Waker.
Oh man, but yeah, that was part of the game that people fucking hated.
It's parts of one of the part of the Triforce.
Oh right.
It's
that's fucking stupid. the Triforce has Triforces in it. Is what you're telling me?
It's like shards.
It's got like a 12 force.
But
God damn it.
But yeah, speaking of Zelda, we were talking probably 2 sessions ago, but about Twilight Princess, and you said there were wolf links. And I thought that was just a joke, but then we meet a wolf link.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So...
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of at that time. So I guess this will take us to my next question. What was your favorite key segment? Which did you dislike the most, and why?
So it was a long time for me. I'm not remembering all of them. It'd be nice to have this refresher, but I'm remembering the wolf one.
There's the wolf one.
Avenging Fira.
There's another... Yes.
That's the, what was it called? Like, Loyal Cerberus.
Yeah.
And then there's Sacrifice, which is in the area. That's the one where you fight, I believe it's called Wendy, the Big Eye one.
Okay.
And then there is the Forest of Myth one, which is very short.
Just another
even shorter than the first
yeah.
Forest of Myth, which was by far the shortest section of the game.
Yes, the Revisit to Forest of Myth is very short. And then there was the Junk Heap, the robotic...
Robot with it's got kind of scrap wings thrown onto it by the shade.
Yeah, it's got a shade buddy. And then there was the one where we fight... It's either Hansel or Gretel. I forget which one survived. But the one where Kaine goes all crazy shade.
Yeah, this might be your third question. If it is, then stop me. There's a lot more of a corruption element going on in the second half of the game.
It is not my third question.
Okay. Basically every fight in the first half of the game is just you straight up fighting a shade, with the exception of the forest. And the entire second half of the game has been, fighting, corporeal beings that have been, possessed or infiltrated by it. I don't know, I just noticed that now. I guess there's probably some theme there to do with the gradual decline of the world during the second half of the game, and how even what was previously pure is now shade.
Yeah, you can make that argument.
Because they never really even address any elements of possession during the first half that I can think of.
There's just oblique references to Kaine.
Yeah.
And, other than that, it really just doesn't come up. Her shade side only becomes more prominent in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess, yeah, we're kind of, with this question, I kind of fucked up because we're skipping over also number 6 in Emil.
Mm-hmm.
That initial bit before we actually free Kaine.
Yeah, so we have yet another gameplay type, this top-down...
Isometric.
Yeah.
Diablo 4.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was really excited when we first... where is this again? Emil calls for help. We go to this underground facility beneath the mansion.
Yeah.
Because he's on the verge of a breakthrough in regards to solving his petrification curse.
Yep.
Which was weird, because I thought that's what we got before, was supposedly...
Well, we thought it was, but then the page ended up being kind of nothing.
Well, I think the page ended up being hey, I decoded the page. There's an indication that there's something under the mansion that will have what we need.
Yeah, it was the breadcrumb, not the solution.
Okay.
But this is it's by far the most preserved old world section of the game. There's office desks and chairs and shit like that still around. And there's a playground where you have those little elephant slides. It just looks like an old world place. They don't even have that kind of the junk heap, I guess you could argue, is pretty preserved, but even then there's wooden planks and shit everywhere. There's this veneer of the medieval fantasy layer on top.
Yeah, it might be preserved in the old world, but it has been very thoroughly explored by the new.
Yeah, and changed as a result. This is completely untouched. It's just worn down. It looks more like Fallout than anything. Some of the vaults that were just kind of worn down by time more than anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really excited when I first saw the perspective shifts, because I like isometric games a lot, and I've liked the twin stick shooter parts of this game far more than the traditional combat sections. And then it turns out that anytime you're not holding R1, the camera spins around, which is really fucking obnoxious.
What?
It doesn't root the camera.
Maybe your joystick was uncalibrated, because...
No.
Do you mean it's spinning around all the time, or just that you can control the camera?
No, that I can control the camera. I wanted the camera to be locked at that one angle, because if I'm feathering it to do large dark blast pulses, then it's always constantly jittering the camera a few degrees every time I let off.
Oh, I see.
It makes it hard to aim at shit, and also just I don't know, when it first went in, it was locked in that exactly 90 degree or 45 degrees isometric perspective. So I thought they were just going to stay true to that, and then that would not really be that.
I mean, honestly, you're the only one I've ever heard that uses that initial dark blast as a main attack.
I use it a lot. I have it set up to poison enemies too, so it's...
Yeah, I find it pretty effective in everything other than the boss fights.
Yeah, I don't know. I've just never heard of that. So I think you might have a broken brain. I'm sorry that you had to find out this as a result of NieR.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it happened to me too.
It's well documented.
It destroys you, but then it builds you up again as a person who likes NieR.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I hardly ever use the Dark Blast except in those top-down shooter segments, so I didn't really have a problem with this.
I've probably killed 90% of the enemies in this game with the Dark Blast.
That's insane to me. I hate the Dark Blast.
I hate every melee attack in this game.
What?
And the lance is slow. It does a shit ton of damage, so I'm using it a lot in boss fights. But for like normal groups, like
You should just tap triangle. The triangle attack is insanely powerful.
That's the jab.
I thought it was described as a guard break.
Yes.
It also breaks guard, but it's like twice NieR's width for the hitbox in each direction.
Is that true of the two-handed swords as well?
No.
Okay, because
That's just spears.
Okay, because I haven't gotten a good spear yet. Like the one they gave you right off the bat was okay compared to my other weapons at the time, but then I pretty much immediately got better short swords and two-handed swords, so I just haven't gone back to spears. And the triangle attack for the short sword or the two-handed sword, I don't really remember what it's like because I haven't used it in so long.
Great.
But I seem to remember kind of hating it and being like, because wasn't it a really shallow attack?
I think was that the circular attack? You attack all.
Yeah, it's like a spin attack, but the range is like half of the normal attacks. So most of the humanoid shades have, like, there's a window where they're about to lunge, but you still can't hit them with the circle attack. So if you like start your circle attack when one of the enemies is in a certain part of their animation, then they'll hit you out of it. And I just kept getting bumped out of my animation with that move.
If you don't like the melee combat, then just use spears and use the triangle move. Like that's basically the go-to. Where if you just don't like NieR's combat, you just do that.
So I should just go find a spear then.
Yeah, just like upgrade one. Like usually the first upgrade is never that hard, and it upgrades it by like twice.
Okay, maybe I'll do that.
Because Dark Blast sucks. I'm here to hate on Dark Blast. That's the whole reason I started this game club. So that you guys would understand how bad Dark Blast is.
I don't understand what's bad about it. Like, the DPS...
It's definitely, yeah.
It's not Dark Lance.
It's a good finish.
Dark Lance is fucking insanely good.
But you can't dodge while you're using Dark Lance, and
But
you can
time
only
goes
hit
slow.
in one line. Yeah, the bullet time is handy occasionally, but the combat in this game is already pretty slow, so I don't necessarily want to slow the enemies down so much as speed myself up. Like, that is the trade I would rather make. I like that I can constantly be rolling while I'm using Dark Blast. Like, if I'm in a situation where I have even a modicum of maneuverability, then I'm just never getting hit by anything.
I never get hit while using Dark Lance.
I'm not as good as you, Brett. What do you want?
Nobody
I have
is.
to make do with Dark Blast. I mean, it works for me. It's got AoE, it's got high DPS, I can lifesteal off of it now.
But it's so boring.
I mean, I don't think the Lance is less boring. I just think the Lance is more useful in
Lance
certain
is way
situations.
cooler. Not eh.
Yeah, for me. Like, I'm glad you like
No.
Yeah, you're talking about opinions now.
it. Yeah,
No.
I don't...
No, it's not an opinion, it's a fact.
I think the first, like, one or two times that you see a cutscene of him using the Lance, it's like, okay, cool. And then it's like, yeah, okay, we're 14 hours in the game and you're still doing this thing where you spin it up and then you pin him to the wall, and it's like...
It's fucking cool.
I've kind of fucking seen it.
But it's cool.
I've kind of fucking seen it a million times in other, like, anime and action games and stuff, too. It's like...
It would be definitely be nice if, for his great finishing move, he used something other than just
He uses the fist sometimes.
He uses the fist.
But that's
and
it.
he uses
Dark Phantasm.
When does he use Dark Phantasm?
When he's going up against Jack or Knave of Hearts. He uses Dark Phantasm when he's in the library part. Or, like, when he's defending the library, when he's still outside.
Okay.
It's like the last move he uses Dark Phantasm.
I guess I forgot about that part. At any rate, I think the...
Never uses Dark Blast in the finisher because it sucks dick.
Well, I mean, he's not going to use a basic move. Like, it's...
That would be such a lame finisher.
He's just spraying for like 15 seconds. But like, and the other thing is I can always use the blast. Like, I have to wait for like 4 seconds to charge my mana back up to the point where I can even use a lance.
Yeah.
Whereas I always have every
That's why you slash the enemies and you get a shitload of MP right away.
And then I have to use the fucking melee in this game.
Oh my god.
It's this big recursive cycle of me doing things I don't want to do just because you like the fucking lance.
Unbelievable.
So yeah, my R1 button's pretty worn out.
You're gonna take a screwdriver to your R1 button and be like, ha! You can't bind this to any other shoulder button.
Yeah. I just bind all 4 of my buttons and triggers to the Dark Blast. I could feather him so fast.
That would actually be a cool mechanic.
Can you
If you're
feather
gonna-
this, or can you bind the same spell to more than one thing?
No, well, I mean, you probably can, but what I was thinking is, like, if you had it bound to, like, R1 and L2, and if you held both, it would do, like, double the attack for double the MP.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Go make that game.
Yeah.
Mr.
You heard me, Yoko Taro. Figure it out.
So where were we?
What was your favorite key segment?
Yeah. Man, it's hard to choose because so much of this week's assignment was a retread. Like, there were a lot of things that stood out about the first two sections of this game we played, and this all kind of feels like a blur to me. There's not really any specific sequences that I think back to and like, oh yeah, that was good. It's just there was a lot of stuff that there was nothing wrong with it, and then a couple parts that I wasn't really having fun. Like some story beats I liked, but almost nothing mechanically. Like yeah. I think that actually it's weird. Like the boss design is getting consistently worse in my opinion. Like
I absolutely agree with that.
I thought that the by far the best boss in the game was the first time you go to the scrap heap because it has like it takes a page out of the Nintendo boss design book of like having bespoke sections where there's like a repertoire of 2 or 3 moves that there are specific solutions to not getting killed by those moves, and then you have like a more puzzle-like solution to beating it. Which, I mean, part of that is just me liking the creativity of that. Another part is, coming back around to me not really loving the combat. So, of course, I'm going to prefer a puzzle solution to the combat. But even in games where the combat is good, my favorite boss battles in games are ones where there's a creative solution in play. So, yeah, almost every fight. In fact, I think every boss fight in the second half of the game so far has been a combat trial.
And those solutions are always spamming, not...
It's not like a window of timing or something like that.
I think that fits NieR's character perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
What do you mean, okay?
Yes, but is it fun, though? It's fitting a character, but is it fun for us to play?
Who gives a shit?
Oh, okay. I thought we were here to have fun.
No.
Now we're here for Mr. Crunch's character?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But the robot fight where you're fighting the robot controlled by the shade on top, you can't approach it, or it just creates electricity underneath it, so you can't even melee it.
Meleeing it doesn't have any purpose because it doesn't have any blood.
Okay, but what about using variety in your attacks for fun? No, so you're just forced to Dark Lance spam that thing to death while you're rolling away from it.
I think I would be a little bit more open to your point, Brett, of it reflecting NieR's personality if they had done a better job of highlighting the kind of just blunt brutality of the finishers in the boss fights during this section. But for how much they've changed the conversational dynamic in the quest givers and between the party, I don't actually think the way that NieR in cutscenes treats bosses has changed at all.
I mean, he completely throttles Jack or the Knave of Hearts, rather than getting all fancy with it. He just fucking chokes the thing to death. When it comes to Wendy, he's ripping off her plates and shit, and then that's mostly a meal.
Yeah, that section was... I don't actually remember him ripping the plates off, now I think about it. I just remember the meal self-destruct thing.
I might be imagining that. I don't think I am, but...
Because... Isn't it floating the whole time? I don't remember.
Yeah, but his hands, are fucking 5 stories tall.
Oh, you mean with the phantasm hands. I thought you meant, physically.
No.
Yeah, if he had been doing more stuff with his own body, I think that would have probably gelled with that more to me.
I'm not sure there's any of the bosses where he could, is the thing.
Okay, but then doesn't that maybe they could have designed the bosses differently?
I mean, I guess, but I don't know how you get more visceral than 2 fucking hands ripping something apart, choking it, and beating the fucking shit out of it.
You use your actual hands.
Why? He's got magic fucking hands.
It still doesn't he does a lot of beating the shit out of stuff during the first half too. It kind of that just kind of feels like NieR being NieR. I did really like the the scale of the Cerberus fight, though. Like, it was another moment kind of akin to the end of the first act, where it's like, oh shit, we've got like a posse of like 12 dudes here. Like, it's more of like a skirmish than these kind of small scale battles we've been dealing with up to this point. So that stood out to me. Didn't really manifest in like a mechanical way as far as I could tell. Like, they were, a lot of the guards from Facade were like mentioning like, oh, protect the king and that kind of thing. I couldn't tell. Does he like actually have health?
Yes, he can die.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
He can die. You get a game over, but yes, he can die.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty cool. I guess I just didn't end up letting them get enough hits in. Because I was kind of trying to, like, they were just kind of focusing him anyway, so I had to shoot them at some point or another. But I wasn't necessarily, like, changing up my play style. Didn't really feel like it was just kind of a cool, cool conceptually of just like, okay, we've got an army here. Like, this is like the forces of Facade taking on the Wolf Den. So that was cool. I wasn't a huge fan of the way the boss, like, just like the way it dashes around so manically. Like, it was just a little bit frustrating because all my best weapons were two-handed weapons. So I had to switch to a shitty short sword that was doing like half as much DPS. So the fight ended up taking quite a while for me. But it was a cool like dressing for the fight, I thought.
Absolutely, I would say that now that you've reminded me of all the fights, I'd say that the wolf fight was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, it does not have much health at all. Like, basically, its only defense is its massive speed.
Mm-hmm. So,
like, if you do manage to nick it with a two-handed weapon, that's like a fifth of its health bar that goes down.
Yeah, I just couldn't manage it because if you're using a very heavy two-handed weapon, the animation's like it's like when you use a weapon you don't have the stats for in Dark Souls.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't manage it. I mean, I probably could have gotten it down if I wanted to spend more time like gauging its pattern. But it was like 10 minutes in the fight, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna use the short.
That's a long time. Yeah. So I don't know. I think my favorite key was the might be the robot one actually.
Okay.
Like I really like the story behind how Gideon basically ends up fucking hating robots.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like, okay, like he fucks up, he knocks some shit down, his brother saves him, and then he's like, oh man, I gotta save my brother, so he grabs his arm, and you can tell by the sound effect that he's just ripped his fucking brother's arm off.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty fucked up. And then he looks up and he sees a robot and he goes, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I definitely understood that later, but at the beginning, when we saw that cutscene, I didn't understand that the robot had done that.
No, the robot didn't.
Okay.
He just looked up and saw a robot and went, fuck you.
Okay, so the robot did what I did. Okay.
Yeah, if anything, it was the brother's fault. Cause
yeah,
he was, like,
that's how I first saw it.
It's just that's how it is.
Okay, so
the little brother is like misplacing his mourning and his like he just wants a scapegoat.
Yep.
I didn't really, I don't know when you would do it. But the time they chose to put that cutscene felt very apropos of nothing to me. Like,
it was when you enter the junk heap.
Yeah, but
like, did you enter the junk heap before the story told you to go there?
No. I did it right then. It's just, like, to me, it would have almost made more sense if we had entered because, like, when have we ever gone into an area and then seen something that's happening in another place, in another time? Like, I don't think the cutscenes have ever really done that before.
Yeah, they haven't.
It was just kind of jarring. So, like, if it had been, like, we just enter the junk heap as normal and we're like, oh, I wonder how the brothers are doing. We go into the place.
Yeah, it has a filter, doesn't it?
No, I knew it was
very clear.
I knew it was a flashback. I wasn't
It's just
confused.
the only time we've seen it.
It's just, it was kind of betraying the structure. So if it had been, like, we go into the shop and only the one brother is there and we're like, what happened? And then it shows us the cutscene with, like maybe a tiny excerpt of narration. So it's like, oh, this is us seeing him telling us about it. That might have made more sense in terms of like fitting the presentation style of the cutscenes in the rest of the game.
Yeah, I suppose.
So yeah, that kind of stood out to me. But the fight was okay. The only thing that was weird was that like they didn't really... I don't know. They left the whole 3 levels open, and I didn't really know where the fuck to go. So I ended up having to like redo one of the levels because you can kind of like get to the end and then go up the elevator. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'm going to it. It's like, no, I had to go back through and then take the other branch because there's one floor that has like 2 really long branches. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of a drag. But I mean, I got a bunch of mats, so I don't know. Maybe I'll go upgrade a spear next time or something.
Just go do that another 40
times. That happened to me, and I ended up actually using. Because I got so many alloys that I used them for one of the quests. I don't remember which one. Oh, the knife quest. The barkeeper wants a really nice knife.
Oh, yeah.
So that ended up working okay for me.
I did kind of expect a little bit more of a change in the dungeon, though. Like, if the first time we had gone, there had been, like a little bit more of, like, a plenty of, like, scrap and stuff around, and then this time it was barren or something. But it was already so stripped clean the first time we came that it's just like, okay, 5 years later, it's still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that part I do kind of, I do agree pretty much on that. Like, there's a lot of shit that's implied, like, oh, we go really deep into the mines to get materials for when I get shit for other people, you have to do it yourself. Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't know, maybe he has other ways that he just doesn't tell you about.
Yeah.
But, like, every single path that we see looks very lethal for anyone other than the guy with the magic book and the ripped-ass arms.
Mm-hmm. And it's all stuff we've seen. Like, we're even fighting in the same arena that we fought the last robot with no real reasoning. I guess just like, okay, this shade showed up sometime in the last 5 years and happened to decide to possess this robot. So now that's why this new robot is here. Mm-hmm. But not a whole lot of rhyme or reason. Like, as far as I can tell, Facade is really the only place that, the only section of the game that goes to any links to try to, like, hit home how the times have changed in terms of us retreading the 5 areas. Yeah. Which, if you're gonna, like, I like when games do this, when they're like, okay, time skip and let's see how things have changed. Like, I'm kind of coming up short on examples right now, which doesn't really help my point. But, like, generally speaking, the goal is to, like, put, you know what I mean? It doesn't even necessarily take that much work compared to, like, designing and building a whole new area, but just, like, manipulating the stuff enough to where you can see, like, how time has, like, worn down the area and stuff. And that's not really present a whole lot.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that ends up being a budgetary concern, which will hopefully be changed in NieR Automata, because it is Platinum, it is a mainline project.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that Yoko Taro has enough of a budget to really deliver on the ideas that he wants to explore.
Yeah. I would even almost have rather them, like, cut down on the enemy variety in the first half of the game so that they could have withheld and then introduced more enemy types in this part, like the flying guys and that kind of thing. The flying robots. Just because, like, it really is, I mean, we are just doing this dungeon again.
Yeah. Well, it does unlock I think it's like B2 or something.
Oh, okay.
And then, like, that's where you go to get to this boss.
Yeah, but So, yeah, the last, like, third of it is different.
I'm pretty sure you take the elevator that's, like, right at the beginning of the dungeon, and then you go down, and that's...
Like, okay.
It's a
maybe I just took a wrong turn then or something. Like I said, I basically redid everything except for the first floor because I didn't know where the hell I was going. Because there wasn't really any indication.
Yeah, you get lost and then you're like, all right, fine, I'll look at the map.
Yeah, I looked at the map right off the bat, but like
there's no X's on the map.
I didn't memorize what it looked like from when I went there like 6 hours ago or whatever it was. So I just ended up, just by bad luck, I guess, going down every wrong path until the last one was where the boss fight was.
Alright, so basically you both say the Cerberus one is your favorite?
Yeah, I guess I would.
Yeah.
Okay.
And your favorite was the robot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really like how fucked out that kid gets.
Yeah, that was a touching. Well, not touching. That's not the right word for it. But like,
touching in a
like a pounding way. No, I think it was an effective moment because you basically get like a preview of NieR essentially. I almost feel like in a way it's like harmful to the game that they let you choose the order you do this stuff in, because if that moment had been like earlier in this section, like if it had been the first place you had to go right after you resolve the stuff with Emil, then I think it would have had a little more room to breathe, so that by the time you get to the Aerie and he's like flat out telling Emil like not to care that he's killing innocent people if it's for the sake of self-preservation and finding Yona. Yeah, I just think like giving that more room to breathe so we can kind of like stew on that and be like, oh shit, like he's basically going down that same path, even though he was like, he even kind of like says something to the effect of like, yeah, that kid's fucked up when it happens, which when it just happened 45 minutes earlier in the game makes it feel a little bit dissonant to me.
Yeah, I think I always go to the junk heap pretty early on in this. So
that
might have something to do with it.
Okay. I went to the junk heap first, but
then he has to build the sword, and like that takes one plot objective. Mm-hmm. So I think what I did on my first playthrough is I went to the junk heap, then went to the Forest of Myth.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you can do that. So then I was like right back in the junk heap.
Okay. Yeah. I did talking to him in the junk heap, and then the facade, and then the Forest of Myth, and then coming back.
Yeah. So that I could see how that would change your perception a bit. One touch I like with Gideon is that you can barely see this because the game's not really in high def at all. But his arm is actually gone.
Oh, okay.
It's been replaced with a robotic one that does fucking nothing for him. Apparently in the supplemental materials they go into it, and they say that he basically wanted to be like his brother, so he started fucking up his arm really bad, until one day he fucked it up so bad that he just had to amputate it.
Jesus.
Yeah. So he's not mentally well.
Kid's got problems.
Big problems, yeah.
Is there something I missed in regards to Emil's aging and the other characters not really acknowledging it? Because, like, they clearly do age characters because Gideon looks so much older, and one of the first things NieR says is, like, commenting on how much he's grown up. None of the characters acknowledge the fact that Emil didn't get older before we found out that he was, like, an experiment from the old world.
I think Emil and NieR have been not quite estranged, but they haven't been in constant contact because Emil is not very helpful to have along on the kind of journeys NieR was going on.
Yeah.
So I think he was probably just too distracted to care until it was explained. Because, like, you see Gideon after, like, the whole thing with Emil has happened, and he's kind of started reintegrating with society a bit. By society, I mean in a psychopathic woman and a fucking skull child. But, like, I feel like that kind of brings him back down to, like, kind of human levels.
Okay.
And then he starts kind of going, oh shit, it's been 5 years, goddamn. But before that, he's just kind of completely absorbed by his need to find Yona.
Okay, sure. I can see that.
And, I think Emil's like, what is it, 1,300 years old or some shit? Mm-hmm. But he just had all his memories taken.
Yeah. Yeah, even, I guess the butler is pretty cagey, which, like, did we even talk to the butler in this section? I forget if we passed him.
Yeah, he lets you in the mansion.
Yeah, he lets you in the mansion. He's also involved in some side quests.
Okay.
I think at this point I'm basically allowed to say this because all the hints have been gathered. I am like 99% sure that the butler's a robot.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because, like, remember when, I think it's, like, last episode when you walk in and you're, like, talking to the butler and he's just completely non-responsive, then Emil comes in and he's like, hello, Master Emil. Mm-hmm. Like, that's kind of my main justification behind that idea.
And there's the other, like, non-sentient butler.
Yeah.
Which could just be, like, a previous model.
Yeah, or, like, the one that's coming up next.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Maybe so he'll be an automata. Maybe the butler is the main character of NieR Automata.
He is 2B. The B stands for butler.
Yeah.
He's the second butler.
Second butler. Oh, shit. And then he got, like, girl parts.
We don't know. That part wasn't model, just a butthole.
That's true. Everyone got a butthole.
It's true. Well, some people have bags.
You just thought of, like, an alternate way for human beings being born instead of the belly button being the umbilical cord. It's the butthole.
That sounds uncomfortable for everyone.
Fucking funny.
I think there'd be a lot fewer doctors.
I don't want to touch his butt. It's icky.
Nurses would be the same thing.
Alright, let's see. I do have one last question, which I guess kind of goes more into the story stuff.
Okay.
We finally have the full party assembled. How do you like the party dynamics? Do you like the characters, dislike them for reasons you feel intentional, or do you just feel that they're used poorly?
I feel like the party dynamic is pretty solid through and through. I can't really think of any specific issues that feel like dissonant or anything like that. I don't know. Philip, did you have any complaints?
No, it's just, to me, it's a party.
Yeah.
It's my my group, my characters.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is it's a little unfortunate that we don't get to, like, they've explained it, obviously. I'm not saying it is like a plot hole, but it's just unfortunate that we get to spend so much less time with Kaine and Emil because they're not allowed in the towns. Like, it feels like there are conversations that I wish they were a part of, and then they don't ever like pick that conversation back up when we're out on the field. So there's just a lot of things where I'm not really getting their perspective.
Yeah, that is a bit of a bummer. I think it's another budgetary thing, unfortunately.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I don't know. It's good. That's the best part of the game by far. Like, I think if I were to recommend this game to somebody, it would be almost entirely based on the writing of like the moment to moment dialogue, because I mean it's kind of a tried and true dynamic in a lot of ways, but like they execute upon all of it well. And like the only real problems I have are not really party dynamic so much as just like pacing things a couple of times. Like I feel like at the end of last week's section where like Emil is like sobbing over Kaine and that kind of stuff, like I feel like they rushed a lot of the Emil stuff to where like I wasn't really fully sold on Emil's level of investment given that we had known him for like 2 hours of game time. Like it felt like they had known each other for weeks and weeks, even though that wasn't really the case.
That's kind of the thing that I'm finding, actually, like, I'm pretty sure you guys have noticed extremely frustrating about this game club, is that all of the stuff that I could say to justify all this weird shit is stuff we're not going to be hitting in a long fucking time. Like, I feel like my hands are kind of tied behind my back and I'm trying to, like, kung fu fight in a way, because so much of it is like, oh yeah, no, that, like, you learn a lot of, like, backstory stuff later on in, like, ending B, ending C, and D, and, like, that's a lot of the reasons that I find a lot of these characters so endearing.
Yeah.
So I can't be like, oh no, he's good because he's good.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of all I can do.
Yeah, well then I guess the way I would restructure my complaint is that they don't really do a good job of giving an indication that we as the player are missing out on something. It feels more like they as the writers are missing out on something. And there's really...
That's the thing. That's tough. Like, that's why I'm kind of getting at. Like, I can't argue, or not even argue, but just, like, discuss it with you guys without just being like, oh, you don't see it yet.
Yeah.
Which, that's another reason why it's frustrating. Because I can't really bring you guys to my side.
Yeah. Do you ever do game clubs for games that no one in the group has played? How do you do a stopping point? For
sometimes.
We just look at a guide, and sometimes that...
90% of the time we're doing a game that nobody in the group has played. It's something that we're doing in like a short game that we can do all in 1 week.
Oh, okay.
But we also like very rarely have this issue. This is more of like a multiple endings kind of dilemma because like it sounds like there's stuff that's supposed to recontextualize the way we're supposed to feel at this point, which is not really your typical issue. Yeah,
and I'm rather astonishingly bad at handling it. Is the thing. Like,
well, I mean, maybe that's just as good a point as any for us to call it for this week, unless you had something else you wanted to address. Because like, it sounds like a lot of. I mean, I think it's safe to say that this part of the game, even more so than last week, is like setting things up to be resolved.
Yeah, like. Basically, like, you never go back to the first half of the game, so the first half of the game doesn't really need to be re-examined. is a thing. Like, it's all just kind of in front of you. It's just like, yeah, cool. Because, you're never expected to go back. But in this one, there's just, like, I would say there's upwards of possibly like an hour and a half of story that we're going to get, like, kind of intermittently through ending B. Like, that's not even during the ending, but, like, before it, like, in all the stuff we're seeing now.
Okay.
Even that's more than I really want to say, but I feel like I have to give something to the people who are listening to this who are just kind of like, I don't like this. So, kind of sacrificing you guys for that. At least I know that you guys are forced to play through it. So that's nice.
All right. Well, next week's Game Club, we'll be covering through ending A. That'll do it for another episode of Shareware. If you'd like to contribute your perspective to the upcoming Game Club segment or respond to any of the other segments, feel free to send us an email at sharewarepodcast@gmail.com, tweet at sharewarepod, or check out the Shareware Podcast on YouTube. This has been Josh.
Brett.
And Philip.
Have a good one.
Please send me an email saying that I'm right and that it's good. Please, I need it.
Batting's wrong.
3, 4. Hey! 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 Hey!
You ever hear about the tale about how the Noid fell?
What do you mean fell? Like from grace or like physically?
Like, the Noids fell from grace.
Yes.
Oh.
I am familiar
Wow.
with the tale.
Never mind then.
It's a common anecdote. It's pretty basic bitch Domino fan conversation material.
I only found out like 2 days ago. I thought it'd be a funny thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
To talk about.
Of all people.
Well, how about you tell me the story then? We'll see if you're even right.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story. So essentially, Domino's had the Noid campaign. He was like a villainous mascot, an anti-hero, if you will. And essentially his role was to plague the patronage of Domino's. He would try to steal the product from the customers. Coincidentally, a man whose last name was Noid, and that also had some mental illness. I believe it was some kind of paranoia. Schizophrenia? Okay, that might be right. I don't remember the exact condition. But his paranoia was triggered by the marketing campaign because everywhere he looked, he saw his name attached to this villainous character that was stealing people's pizza. And so he basically snapped. From there, my memory on the deals gets a little hazy, but...
He held 2 Domino's employees up at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And forced them to make pizzas for him.
Mm-hmm.
Until eventually they managed to escape and the police got him. He went to a mental institute for 3 months and then, like, 10 years later, killed himself.
Mm-hmm. And so now they don't use that mascot anymore.
Yeah, they're not cool with the Noid anymore. Well, no, they actually did. They used him for a Flash game once.
When was that?
I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, I actually didn't know about the Flash game, so interesting.
Wow. There you go.
That's the linchpin of the story. So, Philip, what's your favorite villainous food mascot?
Well, the food mascots are the good guys. You misunderstand. It's the food that's the bad guys.
Oh,
no, there's definitely at least one more bad food guy that I'm thinking of right now.
I actually don't. No, I can't find it.
The Hamburglar. He steals hamburgers.
Yeah, but I imagine
he doesn't steal hamburgers from the rich and give them to the poor. He steals them from the poor and gives them to himself.
I don't think he steals them from the poor though. Does he?
Oh yeah, he steals from all the rich people who eat at McDonald's.
I mean, it's
I
been
think it's
a
more
while.
stealing, like, the actual from McDonald's, not here's your order. All right, thanks.
Yeah, from what I remember of the Burger King cartoon VHS tapes that used to come...
the McDonald's?
Yes, McDonald's, sorry. The McDonald's cartoon
Off your
VHS.
lore.
No, it was a really interesting cross-promotion. McDonald's had VHS tapes with Burger King characters that made Burger King look like shit, and vice versa. It didn't last very long. It got really deep into mudslinging at a certain point.
It sounds like it would just cause a lawsuit.
It's just like
Ronald McDonald rapes kids.
I was just thinking, just like all the customers. It's like a slice of life piece, but all the customers that are shopping at this Burger King are just like, duh, I have no taste. I eat Burger King, and this is something you buy in a McDonald's.
I'm the Burger King.
No, that's what they say. I'm the Burger King.
I'm the Burger King. I live in a mansion. It cuts to him and he's like living in a tree.
A tree that's fallen over into a river.
He's like holding onto it for dear life. He's like, I live here. I think this is a reasonable living accommodation. I'm the Burger King.
And they only cost $3.99.